Coming to you live from the White Picket Studios in Houston, Texas, this is the Realty Ruckus. If you are in any way, shape, or form involved in the real estate industry, this is the show for you. And now, your host, Alan Hernandez.
Welcome to the Realty Ruckus out of the White Picket Realty Studios. I am your host, Alan Hernandez. Sitting next to me, your producers, Gibran Hernandez, David Bonilla, and our resident attorney, Ashley Patten.
Hey, great being back. Yes. Great being back.
Welcome back, my man.
He's been on a hiatus.
Yeah, you have.
Doing all this traveling, Dallas and other cities.
I was partying with one of our listeners, Tang.
I know, that's so cool, man. This guy got to hang out with Tang in Dallas. That's awesome,
man. What's going on in Dallas?
I flew all the way to Dallas just to meet Tang.
Is that what it was?
That's exactly right.
Tang's doing something right.
That's awesome.
I love it, man. And then you come in here soaking wet.
Hey, that's because David is responsible for the weather today.
David brought in the rain, apparently.
Blame it on me
He
already.
brought in the rain. I mean, it's like, and Alan, I appreciate you offering to get me an umbrella.
Yeah,
it's just, honestly, I didn't know how I could get the umbrella from the truck to this place.
Well, we just have to have like a really good bonding moment, the kind of where we hug with one umbrella, you know. Sometimes you got to do that.
You can be my hero,
exactly,
or be my wingman.
I'm
right?
such a gentleman. So we have a great show planned out for you guys today. As you know, we're here to help your business grow, your real estate business.
Is it
grow.
a phenomenal show?
As always, it's a phenomenal show.
Oh my gosh, no way.
But before we get started, I'd like to tell you guys that next week, yours truly will not be here, so you guys will have to handle the show all on your lonesome.
Okay.
Actually,
that just means 2 nerd editions of the show next week. That's fantastic.
You guys get to talk all the tech and what else do you guys do when I'm not around?
We'll probably get into Bitcoin a little bit because
you guys will talk
Bitcoin. There's been a lot of ups and downs lately.
Actually, I heard Bitcoin lost a lot of value.
Oh, dude, right? yeah, it's tanking right now.
So
now's the time to buy. In general.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we won't get into that.
I think it still has a ways to go.
Let's not talk about that because that's what you guys have to talk about next week. When I'm not around. When I'm not around, you guys can talk all about that. People love hearing about all that stuff. So, and I don't know anything about it, so I'll leave that all up to you guys. In the meantime, we're going to have a great next week. Actually, not next week. Great week. This week we have a lot of good events coming up. We have a lot of things that are happening out in the real estate community, and we want to be able to share all those with you guys. I'm already on vacation mode. I can tell you guys that right now. This morning I did my HAR video shoot. As you guys know, I'm running for HAR Board of Directors for medium firms, and we went up there. We knocked it out. It started at 11. It took me all of maybe like 10 minutes to do a quick little 1-minute video. Yeah, believe it or not,
How many takes?
I got it on the first one.
Really?
On the first try.
Except.
Here's BB to knock me off my cloud, man. As always.
What happened?
No, HAR doesn't like it when you call them HAR. They want you to call them
You should just probably stop saying it HAR then. You should start saying HAR.
They want you to call them HAR.
Wait, are you kidding me?
No, I'm not. So to be respectful,
very true,
they want you to call them HAR, not HAR.
Why?
They just don't like it. I don't know why. That's a policy.
Why come up with an acronym that you don't like?
Exactly.
No, she goes. So Alan did it the first time, and it came out really phenomenal.
Phenomenal.
It really was. It was great the first shoot. And she goes, I really like that. That was fantastic. But I'm going to need you to do it again, and you don't say HAR this time. You need to say HAR.
Really?
So we start again, and Alan's about halfway into it, and he goes, so when you're thinking about the new board of directors for HAR, and he just start again.
Wait. So now that you be on the board of directors, will you advocate for the change?
Which change? It depends what change we're talking about.
From HAR to HAR. I mean, what
and my first duty will be
I will change that.
We're no longer HAR. We are now HAR.
In my first 100 days, we can call ourselves HAR.
I mean,
it's okay.
It's H and A and R. If they didn't want it to be like that, why do they have it named HAR?
What's funny is she goes, I think I can fix this. And she was like, let me put periods in between each one. And sure enough, on the next take, he was like, and when I get voted for the board of HAR, it
actually worked.
That works.
Turns out I'm actually pretty decent at reading a teleprompter. I didn't know that.
Good.
Yeah, he is.
I've been getting
surprised.
yelled at this whole time because
You're like Barack Obama.
Apparently, I can read the teleprompter
That is a
really
skill.
well,
Yeah. That's a skill.
and it works out. So hey, now we know that we have to invest in the teleprompter. If you guys want to have a better show,
Yeah, right.
all you need to do is put a teleprompter up there, and I'll just read the whole
Yeah,
thing.
but you realize Brandon would be in charge of that, right?
He would probably type some random crap in there just to throw me off.
Oh,
You know,
I
April
totally
Fool's Day, we
wanted
do that
a
every
Ron
time.
Burgundy moment.
Yeah.
I wanted that so badly.
He would draw something very obscene, and then I would somehow find some way to say it.
What does that mean?
That's a Brandon thing to do.
I mean, Bill O'Reilly, what does that mean? I don't understand. Play us out.
Yeah.
That was funny. That was a
To
funny
play
clip.
us out.
All right, so to prepare for my vacation, I decided to have a beer today for lunch.
Yeah, I saw. I walked in and Alan was having a beer.
That's how you know you're on
I
vacation
am on
mode.
full vacation.
That beer is actually steaming right now.
That's tea. That's
Okay.
I gotta keep the vocal cords nice and clear.
Okay.
For
Is
the,
there
for the
honey
show.
in there?
Actually, I'm gonna undo a button just to make sure that I am on full
It's just
vacation.
because I'm wet right now. This guy's getting all gay
That's
on
full
me.
vacation mode?
Full vacation mode.
No, this is pre-vacation.
You're watching it
Two
right
buttons
now.
is full vacation.
Yeah,
mode.
you're right.
By the end of the show, I plan on having this guy at 2 buttons.
All right, we have a great show planned out for you guys today. We have to take a quick commercial break. When we get back, we want to talk about the potential for chatbots to negotiate. What does that mean? What does it mean for you in the real estate business? Stay tuned. You'll find out when we get back. You're on the Realty Ruckus.
Hey everyone, this is David over at White Picket Realty, and I wanted to tell you about my friends over at Plans Express who can save you the headache of running your own permits. These guys are committed to offering a one-stop solution for all your plan and permit needs. They're proudly serving their friends and neighbors in the Houston surrounding areas, and they offer great service at an exceptional value. With dedicated professionals ready to serve, contact them today at 832-675-6217.
Hey Houston, this is Alan Hernandez, and I want to remind you guys to visit our friends over at Quest IRA to learn everything there is to learn about investing with your IRA. Now, if you haven't been over there recently, you have to check them out. They have free educational classes, networking opportunities, the ability to tap into $1 billion for your real estate investing deals. These are the guys to know when it comes to learning about this kind of stuff. You want to make sure you visit them and check them out over at www.questira.com. Again, that's questira.com.
Stop searching and start staying in the know with our Houston Real Estate Events page on Facebook. Follow us by searching at Houston Real Estate Events to stay up to date on the latest events for real estate in the Houston area. If you are interested in having your event on our page, please email me at david@whitepicketrealty.com. Again, that's david@whitepicketrealty.com. Non-paid events only. One more time, find us on Facebook at Houston Real Estate Events, and we'll see y'all at the next one.
What do you love about White Picket?
I love that we work together as a team.
I love being professional while having fun.
I love the innovative approach we take every day.
I love the support we get to grow our business.
We love White Picket.
And I love empowering the next generation of realtors to live life by their own design. If you're looking to grow, come grow with us. Email join@teamwpr.com. Again, that's join@teamwpr.com.
And we are back on Realty Ruckus. Remember that you can find us live on Facebook and YouTube, where if you chat with us live during the show, we can answer your questions right on the air. Now, we all know how the weather is outside right now, but David,
look at my shirt.
What's it look like for the rest of the week for us?
Hey, David, why don't you tell us what the weather's like today?
I wasn't sure if it was raining today or not until I actually came in soaking wet.
He caught all the rain.
And that's pretty much how the rest of the week is going to go. We have a high of 78 today and a low of 74 with scattered thunderstorms. As you guys can see, it's already storming outside. And it's going to be pretty much storming throughout the rest of the week with highs in the mid-80s and rising into the 90s at the end of the week. So it's going to be hot and muggy, and we'll thank Ashley Patten for that one, bringing the rain back onto the show.
Bring the rain.
Wait.
He brought the rain back from Dallas.
I bring sunshine. All the sunshine in a cloudy day.
Just tell me something. On Wednesday, tomorrow, are we going to have sunshine or rain?
Oh, tomorrow's rain.
Rain? Oh, man, we're having a happy hour tomorrow. Hey, it doesn't matter what happens, rain or shine. Happy hour is still going down, so make sure that you guys put that on your calendar.
At this time?
That's at El Tiempo over in Montreal, right on Westheimer.
It's indoors. It's
322 Westheimer. It's going to be a good time.
So you never said, are you having a staycation or vacation? Are you going someplace?
I'm doing both. So staycation starts this week.
Okay.
Vacation starts next week.
Wait, you're not actually leaving?
Wait, you're off 2 weeks?
I'm actually off. Yeah, I'm leaving for 2 weeks.
When do you leave?
I leave this Friday.
So that's a vacation.
Yeah, vacation means I'm leaving.
And where are you going vacation?
So I'm gonna be four days in Mexico, Mexico City. We got a really cool little Airbnb spot right in dead smack downtown.
You should throw a big old mariachi hat on him.
I will.
Oh,
actually, on Saturday, I've already booked a mariachi for singing for us and all sorts of.
Oh, that's so cool, man!
And hopefully they'll bring a tequila bottle because that's part of part of going to Mexico.
Oh, hit your head on the top of the head, and they're taking the whistle.
That's what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
So
I hit you on the top of the head later on today.
I'll take a video of that so you guys can enjoy that.
They shake your head, you hit the top of the head, they make you take a shot.
So 4 days in Mexico, we'll do a little bit of sightseeing, some touring around. Really, what I want is I want my kids to get a feel for what it is, what their Mexican side looks like. Right now, they're having a hard time understanding why they should speak Spanish, and I'm like, hey, there's an entire world out there that speaks Spanish. You should probably get to know that part. So we're gonna be there, and then as soon as we're done with that, we're gonna be leaving to Colombia. And it looks like Brandon has placed something on.
Oh, there it goes! There it goes! Oh my God!
Thanks a lot. I really appreciate
let me shake your hand. Let me shake your hand.
Where's the tequila bottle at?
That is awesome.
Hey, yes, you look good with the hat on,
Hey, there you go.
I mean,
all right, let's get into our conversation here.
Yeah,
we
please.
can talk about Alan's vacation all day, but all it's going to do is make me jealous.
Exactly.
Let's get into chatbots. So I don't know if you guys remember, the very first chatbot started probably 20 years ago.
Oh yeah.
On Instant Messenger.
Hey, what is a chat box?
So,
tell the listeners what a chat box is.
Well, let's talk about where they came from. Which
So it started on Instant Messenger. It was called Smarter Child, and it was literally a robot that you'd go in there and you'd be like, "Hey, what's up, Smarter Child?" And it would answer back, "Hey, nothing much. What's going on with you?" And
you
it
could
had
have
phrases.
a conversation.
You could have a conversation. You could insult it. "Hey, you're a big old dumbass," and it would be like, "No, you're a big old dumbass."
Yeah.
It basically
kind of like
would
a
mirror
Siri,
you.
maybe.
It was like the pre-Siri,
Yeah.
But the new chatbots now are getting really, really advanced.
Yeah.
And Facebook is convinced that starting, next month now? They've already got them going. They're already helping negotiate people who are using the marketplace to sell things. But they're saying that and I think it's by next month, you won't be able to tell the difference whether you're talking with a human being or talking with one of Facebook's chatbots.
That's wild.
Yeah, because they have the marketplace where you can buy and sell things on Facebook, and that to me, that area is not as robust as say like Craigslist or OfferUp. But what they're doing now is on Facebook Messenger, sellers and buyers usually communicate that way, and now what they're doing is companies can develop chatbots, and Facebook is now developing their own that has gotten so good at negotiating that it's already fooled a couple of people into not knowing whether they were talking to a normal person or not.
What does this mean for the real estate industry, though? How does this apply to a realtor who's looking to sell a house, or a homeowner who maybe just doesn't want to use a realtor and wants to sell his house as a FSBO? Well,
I mean, think about it. Every time you get a contact, imagine if you didn't ever have to talk to another new lead again.
Yeah.
They go on your website, they go on their chat live with somebody right now.
Yeah, and typically those are chatbots.
Yeah.
It's not a live person on the other side, it's a chatbot.
Right. I see the little pop-ups that come up on the websites nowadays.
And did you think those were real people? When it says you are now speaking with Enrique, Alan was like, oh man, this guy must be like in Colombia or something. No, that's just the name of the bot.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't think in general people know. I think you kind of hope it's someone that's real, but you don't really ever know.
So my understanding is on a lot of those chatbots is they will answer as many questions as they can until they hit a question that's too complicated for them to answer. And then it gets escalated up to an actual human being. But basically, it can knock out all of the really easy, simple questions. So, I mean, just example, the other day we were just talking about what's something that takes up a ton of time.
Okay, I'm glad you're bringing this up because we spent, I don't know how many hours we spent the other day looking at my personal business structure on how and why my phone rings so much and whether it's a good use of my time to ever pick it up or not.
Yeah.
And I get the other side. I get like the realtors that call me sometimes and they're like, why don't you ever pick up the phone? You know what I mean? And I get the frustration, but in the hour and a half or 2 hours that we were looking at how everything works, I missed 11 phone calls. And
16.
It was 11 from one number and 5 from another.
11 from one number?
Yeah. Not from one same number.
To one of his numbers.
Okay.
To one of my numbers, and then another 5 from another one of my numbers.
So not the same caller.
Not the same caller.
Okay.
Yeah, 11 or 16 total different phone calls.
God, if somebody called you 11 times in a row, the world better be like melting down. Like, it better be like, hey man, you remember that volcano insurance you bought for Houston?
Aliens better be real. Something.
The aliens just landed.
Well, it's usually my fiance who's calling, so.
Exactly. When your wife calls 11 times, you better pick up. All right, point of the story is half of those calls were like, hey, what's the square footage on this listing?
Wow.
And we realized we were looking at how much of a waste of time that is. Not only for the person calling, but the person, and by the way, these were agents, but the fact that if I would have picked up, I wouldn't have been doing what we were doing, which is organizing the business.
Right.
So anyway, chatbots maybe can help with that.
Yes,
That's the idea.
We'll finish out this conversation when we get back. We do have to get to a quick commercial break. I didn't realize how fast the show's going today. Brandon looked at me and he's like, cut it. So
go ahead and
we got to get to break, but we'll finish conversation when we get back. You're on the Realty Ruckus.
Hey everyone, this is David over at White Picket Realty, and I wanted to tell you about my friends over at Plans Express who can save you the headache of running your own permits. These guys are committed to offering a one-stop solution for all your plan and permit needs. They're proudly serving their friends and neighbors in the Houston surrounding areas, and they offer great service and an exceptional value. With dedicated professionals ready to serve, contact them today at 832-675-6217.
Hey Houston, this is Alan Hernandez, and I want to remind you guys to visit our friends over at Quest IRA to learn everything there is to learn about investing with your IRA. Now, if you haven't been over there recently, you have to check them out. They have free educational classes, networking opportunities, the ability to tap into $1 billion for your real estate investing deals. These are the guys to know when it comes to learning about this kind of stuff. You want to make sure you visit them and check them out over at www.questira.com. Again, that's questira.com.
Stop searching and start staying in the know with our Houston Real Estate Events page on Facebook. Follow us by searching at Houston Real Estate Events to stay up to date on the latest events for real estate in the Houston area. If you're interested in having your event on our page, please email me at david@whitepicketrealty.com. Again, that's david@whitepicketrealty.com. Non-paid events only. One more time, find us on Facebook at Houston Real Estate Events, and we'll see y'all at the next one.
What do you love about White Picket?
I love that we work together as a team.
I love being professional while having fun.
I love the innovative approach we take every day.
I love the support we get to grow our business.
We love White Picket.
And I love empowering the next generation of realtors to live life by their own design. If you're looking to grow, come grow with us. Email join@teamwpr.com. Again, that's join@teamwpr.com.
And we are back on Realty Ruckus. Remember that you can find us live on Facebook and YouTube, where if you chat with us during the show, we can answer your questions live on the air. Now, right now we're talking about chatbots, and during the break we were just laughing because we're remembering a few months back, actually, they released a chatbot. And they were like, oh, they were so excited because it was the first AI chatbot ever.
Yeah.
It was actually going to learn as people talk to it. And they thought, this thing is going to be like a new human being. Yeah. And it was. Within 12 hours, it became a racist and a bigot and was insulting people. And within the first 24 hours, they had to shut it down because it got so bad. So, yeah. I love it. It became very human-like.
So one of the things that they found out in this article is that even though it had fooled a couple of people, several people, it still wasn't considered to be as good as a human, which I love hearing that.
It's still not human level negotiation.
Thank God, right? I mean, like,
but it already has mastered a few techniques that humans use to negotiate.
This is what I think is really cool.
Like basically feigning like they're not interested in a certain item or something like that, and then being able to secure that item as part of like a package deal. And so they're basically learning to lie in order to facilitate that negotiation. The chatbot is.
That's wild, man. So maybe in the next couple of years we'll just have a chatbot that sells houses for us.
Yeah, I think at minimum it would be great to have a chatbot that can do all of the real basics for you.
Qualifying of the lead.
Qualifying the lead.
That's
Hey,
what I'm thinking.
so how long are you looking away from buying now? Oh, I don't know, in 3 to 6 months. Okay, yeah, and then it can escalate based off the answers.
Yeah.
Now, what I think is really cool is that anyone who's willing to spend a little bit of money, Facebook has released the code for this chatbot for free.
Yeah.
And they want developers to take it, and they want developers to use it and to do cool things with it. So if you're out there and you've got a couple of extra bucks to throw around to do some development, I would say probably at least 25 to 50,000. That's what I mean by a couple of bucks. Yeah. But you can actually start to create something really cool with the foundation that Facebook's already done.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're going to see a big change in how that's done. Of course, we're always going to have the other side of it on the realtor side. You're really not going to want a chatbot to negotiate for you. But like you said, David, maybe just pre-qualifying the lead from the beginning, collecting all that important information so that you don't have to pick up the phone and answer what the square footage is or this and that or the other. You're just focused on being belly to belly with the client, which ultimately is what makes you the most money anyway.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, all right, we have to move on.
Well, real quick before we move on, my wife put something in my backpack.
Oh yeah.
So we can settle with a
I'm
long
wondering what's
debate.
in there.
So she put a measuring tape in my backpack. So we could settle the debate of whether whose head is bigger between.
Finally.
Oh, it's green. Brandon just told me, it's green. Anyways, we'll still be able to. So we're gonna on the next
break.
You guys want to go ahead?
Break. Yeah, during the next break, we'll measure you guys' heads.
The next break, we'll measure our heads and we'll let you know.
The viewers, whose head is bigger?
Yeah, there you go.
Let's go ahead and get
if you think David's head is
Let me
bigger,
scoot back at the same level.
if you think David's head is bigger, give us a thumbs up. If you think Ashley's head is bigger, give us a heart.
Right.
Yeah.
And then we're going to figure out who thinks which.
Hearts
whose
for
head.
Ashley's head being bigger. Thumbs up for David's head being
Thumbs
bigger.
up.
There we
thumbs
go.
Up.
And during the break,
and during the break, we're going to measure both of their heads, and we'll provide the results to you guys.
And then definitively, one of them will get to call the other one Big Head.
Yeah. For the rest of the show.
For the rest of the show.
For the rest of your life.
All right, we have to move on and talk about the 10 biggest threats facing real estate. And I love that we're talking about this. Look at this. Look at all the likes we're getting. Look at all the likes we're getting.
Thumbs up, baby.
Oh my gosh.
Uh-oh.
Look at this guy's head.
I think your own wife thinks your head.
It's because I sit
But we are
forward.
talking about like the top portion of the head, right? Is that what?
Yeah.
All right,
We're talking about the crown.
Crown.
The crown.
Got it. All right. So we're gonna go ahead and measure that out during the next break, you guys. Thank you for voting. Let's talk about the 10 biggest threats facing real estate, and the reason why we wanted to bring this up.
And this is according to NAR.
Yeah, and this is according to NAR, and the reason why we wanted to bring these things up is because, one, you guys know I'm running for HAR board of directors, and one of the things that we want to
HAR.
HAR board of directors.
And it's NAR. It's
NAR.
not NAR. It's NAR.
Thank you.
HAR. So
leave it to the attorney to bring that up.
Anyway, continue with your conversation.
All right, so let's go ahead and go through the list that NAR provided on the 10 biggest threats facing real estate. So, BB, do you want to start?
Yeah, so number one, and I do agree with this one, and because this one rocks the markets all the time, and it has to do with political polarization and global uncertainty. What's going on out there? How does the global economy look? How does the local economies look? And then how is the politics surrounding that going to affect what's going on? And how does that look long term in terms of home ownership or even just owning real estate? And I think that's a really big concern that people have. And I don't think it necessarily threatens real estate, but it threatens to either slow down or speed markets up.
Yeah.
Well, you look at the elections. I mean, real estate stops moving 2 weeks before elections.
Oh, yeah.
It just
I
stops.
remember that.
Right.
And we talked about that in an episode where people wait to purchase homes until after elections because of the uncertainty about how policies of the new president might affect that home ownership.
That's very true. And of course, rising interest rates being one of the major ways that homeownership is impacted, we have to consistently watch what's going to happen. And of course, and with new political movements or new people in power, we have to understand whether we're going to have a lower interest rate and incentivize home ownership, or if interest rates are going to climb higher.
Well, and it all depends on, let's be honest here. If you're pushing a Republican agenda, you're getting rid of a lot of the affordable housing. You're getting rid of a lot of the social services. You're pushing a lot of those things out, which changes the real estate landscape.
Absolutely.
And then also you have to think about, in terms of if you're pushing a Republican-like agenda, you're probably getting rid of a lot of the tax cuts that have to deal with interest, your interest tax cuts, your property tax cuts, all of those deductions that you get. Those are affected too, depending on who's president and what political climate that we're in.
Absolutely.
So those are all really big things to look at.
So that's number one on the list. Number two, I think, is even more important.
Yeah, that's a big one.
And the reason why, maybe not more important, but maybe it's more daunting because it's something that's really changing rapidly. So rapidly that I think a large majority of the real estate agents out there or people who are part of the vendor services for real estate are having a hard time keeping up with, and that's the technology boom. Mm-hmm. Technology is changing so rapidly right now that it's leaving a lot of people behind. So what does it look like?
It's not even necessarily technology that directly impacts real estate as far as, tech companies like Zillow, who we talk about all the time, but just the prospect of looming on the horizon, autonomous vehicles. What that's going to look like affecting a huge portion of the workforce who are in transportation, those people now being out of jobs and no longer being able to afford a home, that type of technological advancement indirectly affects the real estate industry, but it still has a huge impact.
Well, what happens when autonomous cars come out? People don't need garages. Because people go timeshare a car.
That's another huge
You don't need a garage. Yeah. Now your house, you have an extra 1,000 square feet to work with.
Yeah. Or homes shrink. Right. New construction is smaller, therefore homes are more affordable.
It's amazing.
Correction period.
And this is something you guys haven't mentioned, but this is one of the biggest things that they're talking about right now. What is the one real estate that actually takes up the most real estate out there?
Parking lots.
Parking lots.
Yeah.
No more parking lots.
There's more parking lots than anything else out there. And imagine when you don't have a bunch of cars on the road for those parking lots, people start converting that into other things, and you can start using parking lots.
That's true, because cars, you won't need as many if you're, like you said, have timeshare cars. They're just going to be constantly
you're constantly on the go. If you could hail an Uber within 1 to 2 minutes at any given time, why would you ever drive? Why would you buy a car? It would be cheaper for you to always be inside of a self-driving Uber.
And then you don't need an Uber when you have a self-driving Uber. So you don't need a driver.
Exactly.
And see, one thing that scares me is I also have a property casualty insurance company. That company could be folded because if people don't need car insurance anymore. Why sell it?
Oh, yeah, that's true. I didn't think about that.
All these new jobs, all these careers are just washed up overnight.
That's very true.
Wow, I hadn't thought about that one.
And that can change the economy and overall home ownership. Absolutely. All right, let's move on to the next. Generational disruption. Generational disruption.
Yeah.
All right. Of course, I can't read today because I'm on vacation mode.
Well, it's funny because we actually talk about this all the time. And because Alan doesn't know which generation he falls in, and which, by the way, I now know which generation you're a part of.
That's backhand slap right there.
You're not Generation X, and you're not a millennial. You're what they call a zennial.
Oh.
You're like the weird people that got stuck in between the two generations. And you're like the puppy that can't find his way. They're the zennials.
I'm still trying to figure myself out.
Wait, that's the millennials. They can't find their way.
Millennials know who they are.
They're just weird.
They're just weird.
They're special.
I'm just sort of weird.
But yeah, no, I mean, every generation thinks differently and does things differently.
Yeah.
And so you have to think about how that affects real estate. Think about our generation of millennials is the reason areas like Washington exist.
Yeah.
It's the reason places like the Domain in Austin exist, because we want to have all that close shopping. We want to have entertainment, restaurants, all in one central location where we can go to. But who knows what the next generation may be? Heck, if Facebook's VR technology is as powerful as they think it's going to be, that people may not even have to leave their houses anymore. They'll hang out with their friends virtually. And what happens to all those shopping strips and all those restaurants and bars? They'll start shutting down. No one's going to go spend $10 on a drink when you can buy a 6-pack and hang out with your friends through a virtual reality.
We are losing a lot of the social trends in our I guess total. I don't even know how to say it. Like, people are becoming less and less social, I think.
Well, I mean, some people would say they're becoming hypersocial.
You think so? Yeah. Hypersocial meaning you can hang out with more and more people, but more virtually, people. Really. Right?
Well, look at the dating sites now. People don't go out there and say how you do anymore. They swipe left and swipe right, and it's a hookup site.
Yeah.
People are all about instant
straight to the point.
All about instant gratification.
Yeah.
Some of you would have loved one of those back in college.
Get straight to the point.
I still love those. I mean, right now, I wish I could do that. Which my fiance's listening right now. I would never do that in a million years. But I love you, baby.
Oh my God, I love you. Rewind. Sorry, dude. We're live. Retail disruption. I love this one. Retail disruption is something that we're seeing right now right in front of our eyes, we're seeing a lot of big retailers closing.
Yeah, Sears.
Sears is done.
Radio Shack.
A lot of Walmarts.
JCPenney is done.
Radio Shack.
Walmart shut down. Yeah, Radio Shack has been done. I don't know how they keep coming back out.
I know.
They're
Why
like
are you still in the
bankruptcy,
news?
and then they're back out, and then it's like bankruptcy again, and then they come back.
The last Radio
Yeah,
Shack.
this is the last. Yeah, the last of the Radio Shacks. But it's so true. All of these places, the big retail stores, Macy's lost money last year.
Yeah.
They're the biggest department store in the country.
I'm still more in Circuit City.
Yeah, I remember. I remember Circuit City.
Yeah.
I bought a bunch of stuff from Circuit
Exactly.
City.
I used to live there.
Way overpriced.
It was overpriced, but they had the
think
coolest
about it.
stuff.
Even places like Fry's and Micro Center that are outrageously cheap, they're going to have a hard time competing when Amazon Prime goes to one-day shipping, which they've already said by 2018 they're going to start one-day shipping.
Yeah.
So now you don't have a need to go to Micro Center or Fry's. You pay an even lower price on Amazon. You get it the next day with free shipping. I mean, that is going to disrupt. And what happens to all those buildings? What happens to all that real estate that all those places are sitting on? I mean, look at our shopping center out here. Yeah. We had a store closed. I don't even remember what was there before.
I don't know what the hell
it was an academy. It was an academy.
Yeah.
And it shut down, and it's been vacant for over a year now.
And it's completely remodeled and nice now.
Yeah.
They spent a bunch of money making it nice, and no one is picking up on it.
No, because who needs 30,000 square feet these days? I mean, it's just not necessary.
I mean, shopping centers, malls are gone. I mean, nobody wants to go to the malls anymore.
That's true. That's true. And unless you go there on the weekend, by the way. If you go there on the weekend, you'd be amazed. All right. Housing disparity. Wait, did I skip one?
Yes.
Infrastructure investment. All right. So what does that actually mean? Infrastructure investment, and how does that affect us? Do we have to take a quick break?
No, we got another minute.
Okay. We got it.
But definitely the need for improving the infrastructure. Anytime there's a huge amount of funding towards investing in infrastructure, you're going to create additional jobs. Plus, just the fact that, I mean, I haven't seen it. Well, I guess you could say Houston roads are pretty crappy. But,
my God,
I think everyone would agree with you on that one.
And you can be in the richest part of Houston and the roads are the worst.
Yeah.
I mean, we have horrible roads.
Well, a better example is the railroads. Like, imagine to take a railroad from Houston to Dallas, what that does.
That would be awesome.
I mean,
would
that
love
is
to
investment in infrastructure. The railroad or
the light rail, the speed rail. The speed rail. Yeah, that's going to be awesome.
I mean, that is going to, or take 99 right there between Katy. I mean, everything around 99 is propping up. There are restaurants, stores everywhere.
You know, I hadn't thought about that, though, but if you had a speed rail from Houston to Dallas, that's going to outrageously disrupt the hotel industry.
Absolutely.
Because all those business people that usually stay overnight because it takes
no longer need to.
Yeah, it's like, I can be back in Houston in an hour and a half.
Yeah. I take Vaughn Lane
It's going to take 30
everywhere.
minutes.
Yeah.
Vaughn Lane is
30
the best
minutes?
airline.
Yeah.
That would be wild.
Wow.
Yep.
We got to go to
do
break,
that.
guys.
Yeah.
All right. We'll be right back. Stay tuned. You're on the Realty Ruckus.
Hey everyone, this is David over at White Picket Realty, and I wanted to tell you about my friends over at Plans Express who can save you the headache of running your own permits. These guys are committed to offering a one-stop solution for all your plan and permit needs. They're proudly serving their friends and neighbors in the Houston surrounding areas, and they offer great service and an exceptional value. With dedicated professionals ready to serve, contact them today at 832-675-6217.
Hey Houston, this is Alan Hernandez, and I want to remind you guys to visit our friends over at Quest IRA to learn everything there is to learn about investing with your IRA. Now, if you haven't been over there recently, you have to check them out. They have free educational classes, networking opportunities, the ability to tap into $1 billion for your real estate investing deals. These are the guys to know when it comes to learning about this kind of stuff. You want to make sure you visit them and check them out over at www.questira.com. Again, that's questira.com.
Stop searching and start staying in the know with our Houston Real Estate Events page on Facebook. Follow us by searching at Houston Real Estate Events to stay up to date on the latest events for real estate in the Houston area. If you're interested in having your event on our page, please email me at david@whitepickettrealty.com. Again, that's david@whitepickettrealty.com. Non-paid events only. One more time, find us on Facebook at Houston Real Estate Events, and we'll see y'all at the next one.
What do you love about White Picket?
I love that we work together as a team.
I love being professional while having fun.
I love the innovative approach we take every day.
I love the support we get to grow our business.
We love White Picket.
And I love empowering the next generation of realtors to live life by their own design. If you're looking to grow, come grow with us. Email join at teamwpr.com. Again, that's JOIN at teamwpr.com.
And we are back on Realty Ruckus. Remember that you can find us live on Facebook and YouTube, where if you chat with us live during the show, we can answer your questions live on the air. Now, the only burning question we have to answer right now is, who has a bigger head, David or Ashley?
And the people voted for me.
The people thought David had a bigger head.
Yeah. The only vote that David got, his head was smaller than mine, was the lady that shares his last name and my first name. I mean, unfortunately, it's his wife, so it's of course she's going to vote against me every
so
time.
the listeners want to know whose head is bigger, and it actually turns out that everyone here is going to be disappointed.
Yeah,
I know I am. I'm totally disappointed.
Because David and Ashley actually both have exactly the same size head.
Yeah, which is exactly the same size.
We can't
23 inches.
That's
23 inches.
It's so crazy. All right. and just so you guys know, that's approximately an inch larger than Jabron and I's head.
I was 22.
No, 22 and 7/8.
You were pretty close to being big head too.
Yeah.
But now I can call all three of y'all actually big heads.
All three of us big heads. Hey, for the record though, Brandon refused to measure his head.
Yeah, he did. He still says he can.
He said, I got to switch for the commercials.
We'll get it later.
All right, so we're going over the top 10 biggest threats facing real estate, and we left off at housing disparity. And what it talks about is the current lack of inventory. And I'm telling you guys, I see this on an everyday basis. There's a lack of inventory, but what it's talking about is a lack of inventory in the affordability side of it.
So very much.
So like think about like what's happening right now when someone goes out there and tries to get a loan, right? And they're in middle class and they're making approximately 50 to 60 grand a year, and they get approved for approximately $200,000. Your average home in Houston right now, and this is from the latest HAR report. Notice how I said HAR.
Getting it. Average. Now you're starting to sound like an HAR director.
You see that? Average home right now.
I'm voting for you hard, though.
Average home is $290,000 in Houston.
Oh wow!
Let me tell you guys something. Your $200,000 house will no longer exist in the next 5 years.
I believe that.
It won't exist. You won't be able to buy a $200,000 house in the next 5 years.
Oh, I mean, you know how I know that Houston's market is just going crazy? I pulled up Sunnyside. Now, anyone who's listening and is from Houston knows that Sunnyside is historically one of the most dangerous neighborhoods in all of Houston.
Sunnyside actually won an award for that.
Yeah, it got the award for one of the most dangerous cities in America.
Most gangsta.
It was like in the top 5 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow. Sunnyside has houses listed for $249 right now.
Yep.
Yeah.
$249 in Sunnyside.
Yeah.
And I'm going, my gosh.
When we used to pick them up for like 20 or 30 grand.
Yes, we're talking about, we used to buy them, remodel them, and resell them, owner finance at the most for $75,000.
Yeah.
And that was considered pushing the market over there.
Wow.
Well, look at Austin. You can't buy anything under $350,000.
No. Oh, man. It's funny because last time I was in Austin, it was last year for ACL. And I was like, man, I'm going to look at some real estate out here. I really like Austin. Yeah. And I saw it and I was like, yeah, I think I'm going to stay in Houston for a while. I really like Houston.
I mean, there's a reason why I have 3 offices in Austin.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's just the property values are so high there to where I need 3 offices because one side of Austin is too snooty to go to the other side of Austin.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I got 1 office in Houston. That's all I need.
Yeah.
3
and
in
everybody
Austin.
comes to you there.
Right.
That's crazy. So yeah, I mean, I really see that as a problem that's growing right now.
Big problem.
Because your middle class is not going to be able to afford to buy a home here real soon.
It's not only can't afford to buy a home, you have to look at rental home prices because investors right now are having to buy houses at such a high price that in order to actually make money, they have to rent them out at a higher price too.
Yeah.
So that drives everything up. I know investors who own houses right now that they're actually losing money on because the rental rates are not high enough.
Yeah. Wow.
Now that's really out of balance. That's a really big problem area because you can't continue to buy houses for $250,000 and rent them for $1,500 a month.
It doesn't work.
It can't work.
It doesn't work. People do that out there. I don't understand why. Actually, Speaking of housing disparity, number 7 talks about threats to the middle class, and it says that in 2007 the average middle class income was $57,400. $400 now hovers below inflation, which is wild. Which is wild because I mean, think about it. As if this continues,
it's actually gone up less than inflation has.
It really
inflation has increased more than the income for middle income people.
So basically, our earning power has stayed the same, but the prices of everything has risen. Therefore, our purchasing power has been driven
the last
down.
2 decades. We're talking about since '97.
Yeah.
The average income has risen less than inflation has. That's crazy.
It's crazy, and you know what drives me even more crazy about that is that this part of the consumer world is the one that's buying most of the stuff out there. Like not houses, but just stuff.
Yeah.
You know, just stuff. All right, let's talk about number 8. Emerging role of healthcare in real estate. So I know that healthcare is kind of a touchy subject, and we don't really know where it's going or how, or what it's going to do. But I can tell you right now, I cannot stand making that payment each month for the little bit of coverage that I get.
Yeah, well, imagine, so you can't stand that. Now imagine you're a developer, you go out there, you're getting ready to build even an apartment complex, or you're getting ready to build a condo unit or even a house, and then you're being told by the city, oh yeah, in order to do that, you have to put future safety panels in there. You have to include all of these other things for safety. You have to make sure that you're very health conscious when you're building all of your buildings.
Yeah.
Imagine if you hate making an insurance payment.
So it drives your cost
dude,
high.
their cost of building goes skyrocket high. Yeah. And that's something actually the city of Houston is having a big problem with it. A lot of builders went and fought back against it because they said, we can't build houses affordably when you're making us, because so everyone, I can let everyone in here.
Yes.
The city of Houston has really, really high energy efficiency regulations on new construction.
Yeah. Right.
They are 20% greater than the minimum, which is real. That's a lot.
Yeah.
And so it requires a really expensive AC unit. It requires you to use really expensive windows, really high insulation, things that you would not use on affordable housing. But the city is mandating that people do that, which means you can't build a house for $50 a square foot anymore.
Nope.
It pushes those houses up to $75, $80 a square foot, and you can't make affordable housing at those prices.
Again, driving through to the problem that we're having, which is the fact that it's costing way too much to build.
Yep.
Therefore, they can't sell for lower than $200,000.
Yep.
Therefore, the person, your middle income person, cannot afford to buy a house.
Yep.
So it's getting to that point. We're literally going to see it in our lifetime where the middle class cannot buy a house. The middle class will be forced to be a tenant.
I wonder if we're going to see a reemergence of duplexes here in the coming future. Now, they were really, really popular in the 60s and 70s because of interest rates being so high. And that's where the emergence of duplexes came from. I looked it up the other day.
I think in Texas with the homestead rules, duplexes are almost impossible to have. But I think container homes are the next thing to come.
You like container homes?
Yeah. Yeah.
I know that there was
But aren't they just as expensive almost to build as a regular house?
No, container homes like $18,000 you could build. I mean,
Really?
it's a container that you fix it up.
Oh, if it's just one container, though, right?
Okay, so
Yeah.
we're talking about
multiple
not only
container-
containers, but we're talking about micro housing.
Basically micro housing.
Yeah, we're going
Right.
to lose the 2,400 square foot house is going to come down to being a 1,200 square foot house.
That's exactly right.
The 1,200 square foot house is going to be a 500-600.
And you're going to have containers stacked on top of containers. That is going to be the new revolution.
People have tried that already. We've actually seen a couple of them build.
They did a one container community here in Houston.
Right.
It did okay. That was about 10 years ago when they did that.
Yeah,
So.
you can start seeing a lot more of that. You will
That's
never see the
interesting.
duplexes, but now you're going to see where people come in there, they own the home, and they put it on someone else's property.
Yeah.
It's going to be like a modified trailer park.
Yeah, that or the tiny homes. People really got into tiny homes a few years back, and
I think
some people
Austin
tried it here.
Did an entire community for the homeless out of tiny homes. Yeah,
right.
Somebody donated the land, and
They're
they
like
started putting
500
tiny
square
homes.
feet or smaller, right?
Yeah, they're really tiny. They're
but those
less
tiny
than that
homes,
even.
They're probably not going to be there because they're discriminatory. Because think about it, it's just like who's going to live in tiny homes? You know, one race or the other. So that's the problem with that. It's just I don't see that. I just see like the whole container solution.
Just because it's
being
easier?
in there because it's easier. It's container homes are everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, containers are everywhere. I mean, you think about all the railroads that
is
are going
true.
out of business and everything like that, and they're relatively easy to produce.
Well, I mean, I think that there's a place right off of what is that highway that goes into Pasadena?
285.
225. There's a
225.
place right there that sells containers, and they're only like $4,000
See?
for
Yeah.
a container, an empty one.
Right.
Now you have to go in and modify it, and they're weird sizes, but if you stack them up, put two together, I could see.
I wonder
that
what
working.
permitting looks like for actually building one of those.
I have
with the
no
That's a
system.
good
idea.
question.
So that's
I have no
going to
idea.
be the next part.
Right.
All right.
Yeah.
So we'll dive into that in
Maybe that's
another
another
show.
episode.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah,
have to
that's
do
a
another
whole-
episode
yeah,
on that.
that's
Let's
interesting.
talk about number 9 so we can finish up this portion of the show: immigration and how that affects real estate and why that's a big threat to our
Yeah. Well, the main thing is the labor shortage. If immigration slows down, there'll be a labor shortage in the construction industry, which would then affect the affordability of new houses going up.
Well, that and the fact that new immigrants rent.
Yeah,
normally.
they rent. New immigrants are the ones that mostly live in those really crappy apartments that you see everywhere.
Yeah,
those are a bunch of new immigrants.
So your class C and D is going to take a hit.
Oh, yeah.
Not to mention fear of terrorism.
Yeah.
Where there's a lot of immigrants coming in, the refugees, people are moving out. Fear of terrorism.
Yeah. So we'll see how that's going to play into effect here into our economy here. And last but not least, climate change. I do want to talk about this because I feel like a lot of people don't ever really pay any attention to it. I feel like our politicians don't really give it enough. I'm a tree hugger. All right, I love trees.
I didn't know Ashley was a climate change denier.
I am the climate change.
You really don't think climate change is real?
I think it's fake.
Really?
You
think somebody made it up?
Was it a hoax by the Chinese?
No. It's a hoax by the same guy who created the internet, Mr. Al Gore.
Oh God, he didn't create
Al Gore created it.
He claims creation of the internet. Al Gore formed the almighty internet, and he formed the whole study of global warming.
I feel like it's too dang hot nowadays. It's wild the weather that we have.
Whether we want to believe that climate change is real or not, there's one thing that is real, and it's the sea levels are rising.
Yeah.
And cities like Miami, cities like New Orleans, cities like
look
San
at
Diego,
us. We flood every time it rains now.
Yeah, I mean, Houston is a flood ground now. Every time it rains, I freak out and I think it's going to flood. But you got to start thinking about what happens when New Orleans, half of it is literally underwater permanently.
Put it this way, I think it's the world saying we're overpopulated. It
and
happened in
that's
the ice
true,
age.
yeah.
It happened everything like that. I think climate change is not created by technology. It's created by the world pushing back.
And that could be very much real.
I mean, look at what happened to Haiti. Haiti, they had 1 billion people living in Haiti, and then the world comes out and does a big earthquake and shuts Haiti down.
And now it's fixed.
Right.
God.
I mean,
erase that part of the show
Realty
too.
Ruckus does not support the views of Ashley Patten.
Do not add that one to the Ashleyisms book. Speaking of Ashleyisms, why don't we talk a little bit about what's happening right now on the legal side of the world? We just had a new release on a law that basically says that as long as you disclose your intention, wholesaling is still legal. Have you heard about that?
Yeah, basically, wholesaling, people do it wrong. It's amazing how many. Okay, for instance, we got.
Yeah, this is great. I really do want to dive into this one because you guys tell me about this before.
We actually had a wholesaler contact us and were upset with us because we revealed to the buyer a copy of the contract.
Oh no!
The buyer asked us for a copy of the contract.
Upset?
He was upset we provided that.
Oh God!
Because now it knows what we've done. I'm like, but I was telling this wholesaler who was a listener, so not to be named, I was like, hey, when you sell the rights to a contract, you're selling the contract itself.
Yeah.
I mean, so the buyer who doesn't ask for a copy of the contract, they don't know what they're buying. And so, I kind of took a step back and said, hey, for future on, we're not going to provide a right of that contract, but we're going to direct the question back to you to provide a copy of that because obviously when you wholesale, when you assign a contract, you're selling the rights to buy the property. You're not selling the property itself. So if that contract in there, the selling contract has a specific thing on there saying the house be removed or the house doesn't include windows, doors, washer, dryer, guess what? You don't know what you're buying. You may be buying a piece of property with no house on it.
Here's what I think is interesting. People who buy from a wholesaler and didn't get, and I've had wholesalers who don't want to give me a copy of the original contract, which how do I know what I'm buying?
Exactly. You have to be able to review that contract.
You're assigning that contract to me.
You're assigning the terms of the contract.
Yeah, I'm buying whatever's in that contract. That contract could say, hey, by the way, the whole house is going to get moved during this purchase.
Right. Yeah.
And I could think, oh, yeah, I'm buying everything because the assignment says I'm buying real property, blah, blah, blah. But I don't know what's attached to it. I don't know what's in the original terms.
And what's included in that contract? Disclosures.
Yeah, absolutely.
So disclosure, the house flooded, the house didn't flood, someone got killed.
The house has mold, the house has asbestos.
All that stuff is included disclosures, but for the assignment contract to not, or the person who buys the assignment contract, not to ask for that contract, I mean, it's just foolish.
Yeah.
I mean, they're committing every faux pas in the world, and I have to do business with so many wholesalers that buy a property
It seems like you had a hard time calling them wholesalers.
No, you know what? I'm a big fan for making sure that if you're wholesaling, that you should be licensed. I believe there should be a licensing portion for wholesaling. Maybe not necessarily licensed as a realtor.
Now you're gonna really start.
And I know that this is gonna ruffle some feathers out there, and that's fine. And it doesn't matter. But here's the thing: there's only a handful of people that really do wholesaling right.
Yeah,
and everyone else is botching it, and it's gonna take one person to really botch it, and then everyone's gonna have to be licensed anyway.
Yeah, you're right, and that goes with what Ashley always says about the pendulum. Right now, the pendulum swing, and it's saying, okay, wholesaling is legal until somebody gets burned so bad out there, and it's somebody important gets burned.
Yep, someone that can fight back.
Somebody who's willing to fight for themselves is going to get burned really bad. They're going to come out and they're going to say, you know what? This whole wholesaling thing, allowing the general public to do it, doesn't work in real estate. You can assign contracts and other stuff, but when it comes to real property, no more signing. And that's it. You're going to kill wholesaling because of people doing it wrong.
And that's why I'm trying to educate people out there to say, hey, when you do a wholesale contract, remember, you're buying the rights to the contract itself. So by all means, get a copy of the contract. If you're selling the rights, provide a copy of the contract, including disclosures. Let people know what they're buying, educate them. And like what you said originally, the question, you have to disclose, you have to disclose, you have to disclose. It's the law.
And the whole reason most wholesalers don't want to give you a copy of the contract is because they don't want you to see what they paid for it.
That's exactly right.
Which is ridiculous because in the assignment, it should already spell it out what they paid for it. You know what your assignment fee is. And if you're a really good wholesaler and you're selling a great deal, it shouldn't matter if you're making a penny or $1 million.
Right. It doesn't matter.
It's just you got a great deal. And now you're selling the contract to that great deal. And somebody out there is happy to get it.
Now, the only person who's having an issue is the ultimate purchasing lender. Now, the lender is not going to want the wholesale contract. But you know something? On those deals, you just require that the ultimate buyer pay cash.
Yeah.
I mean, because lenders are fearful of the flip. They hate the double close.
Really quick, you mentioned that, and this was a topic that came up on Facebook a couple of weeks ago, but there's some lenders who will not lend on a wholesale deal where the fee is too large.
That's exactly right.
And I pointed out that you and me had had the conversation before that it's because you can't get title insurance on the assignment portion of it. You only can get title insurance on the portion that was the actual purchase price. Is that correct?
Well, there's two issues there. The first issue as far as the assignment. The assignment is cash. It's buying the rights for the contract.
Yeah.
Now, by law, you can only insure on the sales price of the property. So remember, contract A to B, you have a sales price of $100,000. Now, the assignment fees, say $30,000. That puts the ultimate purchase price at $130,000. But the sales price is still insured on $100,000.
Yeah, so that is right then, because I had a couple lenders go, "No, I'm getting insurance on the whole 130."
No,
and I'm going, "I don't think you are."
They're not. That's why
you might want to check that.
Yeah, I mean you're not because it's on the buyer side.
Yeah,
the buyer's paying that. It's on the buyer side, and the mortgagee policy is only going to be $100,000, which is the maximum of the sales price. So that $30,000 is all based on chattel price.
Yeah, I want to tag a couple of those lenders here because they think that they're getting title insurance on the full amount.
They're not,
and that's really dangerous when you get into those assignment fees of $100,000, $200,000,
and
the house is $100,000. That's the purchase price. You're only getting title insurance on that $100,000.
Right.
So we got to go to a quick commercial break. We'll be right back. We'll jump into our last segments when we come back, and we'll finish out talking about wholesaling and whether it's legal or not.
Yep.
You're on the Realty Ruckus. We'll be back in a second.
Hey everyone, this is David over at White Picket Realty, and I wanted to tell you about my friends over at Plans Express who can save you the headache of running your own permits. These guys are committed to offering a one-stop solution for all your plan and permit needs. They're proudly serving their friends and neighbors in the Houston surrounding areas, and they offer great service and an exceptional value. With dedicated professionals ready to serve, contact them today at 832-675-6217.
Hey Houston, this is Alan Hernandez, and I want to remind you guys to visit our friends over at Quest IRA to learn everything there is to learn about investing with your IRA. Now, if you haven't been over there recently, you have to check them out. They have free educational classes, networking opportunities, the ability to tap into $1 billion for your real estate investing deals. These are the guys to know when it comes to learning about this kind of stuff. You want to make sure you visit them and check them out over at www.questira.com. Again, that's questira.com.
Stop searching and start staying in the know with our Houston Real Estate Events page on Facebook. Follow us by searching at Houston Real Estate Events to stay up to date on the latest events for real estate in the Houston area. If you're interested in having your event on our page, please email me at david@whitepicketrealty.com. Again, that's david@whitepicketrealty.com. Non-paid events only. One more time, find us on Facebook at Houston Real Estate Events, and we'll see y'all at the next one.
What do you love about White Picket?
I love that we work together as a team.
I love being professional while having fun.
I love the innovative approach we take every day.
I love the support we get to grow our business.
We love White Picket.
And I love empowering the next generation of realtors to live life by their own design. If you're looking to grow, come grow with us. Email join@teamwpr.com. Again, that's join@teamwpr.com.
And we are back on Realty Ruckus. Remember that you can find us on Facebook and YouTube Live, where if you chat with us during the show, we can answer your questions live on the air. Now, we were just talking about wholesaling, lending, and why some lenders won't lend on it. Is wholesaling legal?
Did you tag some of those lenders?
No, I haven't tagged some of those lenders, but I need to, because I typed that on there, and there was actually 2 specific lenders who were like, "That's not true. And they're good friends of mine, so I didn't want to fight with them. I didn't want to create an argument, but I was like, I know for a fact, I've talked about this with Ashley. Ashley owns a title company. He's an attorney. I think he understands how this works. And I don't think he would have told me that unless I misunderstood. But no, it wasn't a misunderstanding. So you said that was reason number 1. Now, you said there's 2 reasons.
Yeah, reason number 1 is once the insurance is not given the whole thing, you don't have the right as a lender to collateralize that loan. So in other words, the whole reason why title insurance is required every loan is the collateral mortgage obligation. You package all those loans up in a group and you sell those. Well, every part of the packaging up is to make sure 100% of the obligations are insured through title insurance.
Yeah.
And obviously you don't have that. The second is most lenders don't want to know there's an outside agreement to pay any type of money. So that's the reason why the lenders won't touch the wholesale fees, is because that is an outside agreement to pay. Now, for the most part, we don't send the lenders the seller side. We try to avoid that. We try to send the lenders just the buyer side. Now, a lot of times lenders, especially big traditional banks, the big 5 banks, they all want to see
everything.
Every page, the whole, the whole settlement statement. So when they see that, they see on there assignment fee, marketing fee, all these fake realtor fees. I mean, let's face it. If you're a wholesaler,
you're talking about me ruffling feathers.
I mean, they're charging the service of a realtor without being licensed.
Yeah.
Which I'm not advocating.
Okay, yeah.
I'm not advocating a wholesaler being licensed, unlike yourself, Alan. But
I think
it's they're all clients to me. I mean,
you got to understand. I buy a lot of houses from wholesalers, and I've wholesaled I don't know how many hundreds of deals at this point in my career, but I think there should be a licensing procedure to make sure that at least they're all following the right.
I will say
steps.
this,
and it's to protect the consumer, because overall the consumer is the one that's really kind of getting the boot.
And I think one of the things Ashley's talking about is whenever wholesalers, I'll see them all the time on the investment groups online. I have a buyer looking to buy an investment property and blah 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 blah.
Right.
You don't have a buyer because you're not licensed to represent buyers. You are not even allowed to talk about buyers. Now, if you want to sell your rights to a contract, fine, that's legal. But for you to say, I have a buyer, no, you don't.
No.
That's illegal. Yeah. And then they get paid, like Ashley said. I get it now why he said all these fake fees, because then it's like, well, I want a marketing fee on the HUD. And it's like, wait, you can't get paid a commission.
You know what? We should pull up the TREC complaints and all of the other the TREC deals where they show how many people have gotten fines and other the other deals that they put on there. How many of those are wholesalers who have really gotten caught red-handed doing these kind of things?
Yeah.
If you're gonna go out and represent buyers and sellers, get a license. I mean, it takes a month to get a license, right?
That's true.
I mean, come on,
right? Well, the thing about those wholesalers who get popped, they get fined, but you know how many fines they collect?
Zero. Probably zero.
Because
they have no authority.
They have no authority over them.
Now, but isn't it when you have a TREC violation and you get in trouble? Now you're in violation of the Texas Property Code, because that's created by the Texas Real Estate Commission.
We do see some
so then it can get into
cease and desist, but somebody's got to enforce it. The law enforcement is too busy to enforce those actions.
So it's just a matter of it being too busy.
There is
an avenue there, but they just don't care.
Now, unfortunately, Well, fortunately for the lawyers, is if you try to license, if you try to practice law without a degree, you will be shut down. But TREC doesn't do that same thing as the Texas Bar does.
Yeah.
I mean, so Texas Bar, if you get suspended as a practice of law and you try it again, you will get your ass handed in handcuffs.
Nice.
I mean, likewise, if you're
and
not a lawyer.
that's how it should be with any profession. The doctors, realtors, anything should be that same way.
I mean, with doctors, if you get disbarred in Texas, you move to Louisiana, you practice medicine.
Really? Okay. I didn't know that.
With Texas Bar, if you get disbarred in Louisiana, you're disbarred in the other 49 states.
So lawyers got to figure it out the right way.
That's
crazy.
Well, of course the lawyers got the legal terms right on here, right? They thought this out to the very end.
Did you guys see that 17-year-old kid that opened up his own shop
in Florida? Yeah. He was running.
He was a
gyno. He was a gynecologist.
Really? Yeah. And he was operating it fully. It was wild.
Yeah, he had a
real story.
He had an Eastern medicine place, and he was calling himself an MD. And then he finally got shut down. And then a few months later, he's on the news again, trying to defraud some grandma using her credit to buy a Jaguar at a dealership.
Anyways, so a 17-year-old was a gynecologist?
Yes.
Posing
I think it was.
That's my hero.
Exactly.
He printed out a fake degree online and everything.
Had it up on the wall.
And no, he was running a full operation. Like he had
other gynos working for him.
He had other gynos working for him.
Wow, that guy's a true businessman right there.
All right, let's talk about some of the events that we have coming up. We have some great events on the menu here.
All right. Oh, we're serving up
on the menu. We're just serving them up.
Serving them up. Vacation mode.
Well, as an appetizer tonight, we have Capital Concepts over at Chapman and Kirby. That's starting at 5:30 to 8:30.
Nice.
Ashley said he's going to brave the rain and be there tonight.
I'll brave the rain, sunshine. I'll be there.
Hey, catch a local Ruckus celebrity out tonight at Chapman and Kirby.
Awesome. All right. Well, hopefully we'll see you there. I know that some of us can't make it, but if we can, we'll try to hang. We'll try to go out, and I know a lot of the Team WPR members will be out there as well.
Exactly. And then tomorrow night, there's another great happy hour. It's the NAREP happy hour at El Tiempo. And Alan, can you give us a little bit more info on that?
Yeah, that's at 322 Westheimer. That's the one over in Midtown.
In Montrose.
I'm sorry, Montrose.
Montrose.
322 Westheimer. It's from 6 to 8 p.m. The last time we did this happy hour was in May, Segundo de Mayo. Yeah. We had 200 plus people show up. It was a great event.
It was fun.
It was packed. We gave away an iWatch, a Michael Kors bag. I can't promise you that it's going to be a Michael Kors bag or an iWatch this time, but I will tell you it's going to be a good time, and we're going to have a lot of really, really good networking, a lot of really good atmosphere, and just fun overall. We want to make sure that everyone knows about it. Come out, get your tickets. If you don't know where to get them, we'll drop a link below so that you guys can come hang out with us tomorrow.
Yes, and then on Thursday, the 29th, it's the Houston Housing Roundtable. Can you give us a little bit more information on that one as well?
Yeah, so that's going to be a really good event for loan officers and realtors to know what there is available as far as services and just not necessarily services, special services for those clients out there that you can't easily get qualified. So the big banks will be there to tell you all about their services, and then some of the local services, some of the Harris County services, some of the services that provide down payment assistance, they'll all be there. NAREP will be there. Several other community organizations will be there to talk about how we help the organization or the community grow. So make sure you come out. It's going to be a good event. That's at 50 WA. We'll drop the link below as well for that.
All right, and that's it for this week. We have a couple of more events coming up later in the month, but we'll have to catch those on the next show because we are out of time.
I cannot believe how fast time flies on this show, man. I feel like we started and we finished it immediately.
I apologize in advance. Anything I said that offended anybody.
I'm glad you threw that in there.
I am. I guarantee there's people who are like, okay, I feel better now.
Yeah. Awesome, you guys. Thank you for joining us today on the Realty Ruckus right out of the White Picket Realty Studios. I am your host, Alan Hernandez. Keep up your ruckus, and we'll see you next time.
This has been the Realty Ruckus. Make sure and join us every Tuesday and Friday for new episodes. Find us on YouTube and Facebook for replays of previous episodes. And as always, keep elevating yourself and keep up your ruckus. Thanks for listening. Realty Ruckus has been brought to you by Smart Pig Media Productions.